Your belly? I don't understand why you can't keep it real with the black man. Keep it real.
It's 7:30 a.m. in Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. We have half an hour left together, and we're going into our last half an hour with a really important conversation about physical fitness. So we have with us this morning Mr. McTair. He's from the Ministry of Sport and Community Development. He is the Director of Physical Education and Sport Division. Good morning.
Hi, good morning to you.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks, and thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming on, because this is an important conversation that we need to have, talking about the Girls Run TT Challenge and the Pink Rain campaign. Of course, as you know, viewers, International Women's Day is tomorrow, and we're going to be focusing on women for most, if not all, of the week, and we're jumping into this conversation right now. So, Mr. McTair, tell us about this Pink Rain campaign.
The Pink Rain campaign was started at the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, formerly at that point in time, Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs, in 2019, with the purpose of empowering women through sport and also trying to demystify certain things that are obstacles that would exist that would sort of deter women's participation, women and girls' participation in sport. It comes from previous endeavor that the ministry would have had a number of years ago, where we would have done a women and girls in sport festival. We would have had a whole multi-sport festival for a day, and it usually would coincide with either the weekend before, the weekend after International Women's Day. But it was just directed at targeting women and girls' participation in sport. As we have gone along, we saw it necessary to sort of expand upon that and now incorporate different activities that would help to create a certain level of mass participation, but also address certain issues that would affect women and girls' participation in sport. And
since this has started, have you seen an uptake in women's and girls' participation throughout the country, would you say, in sport?
It is, I think it's a sport and physical activity, and we always want to try to make that distinction, that it's not just about sport and sport participation to say you're going to develop into an elite athlete. It's really overall participation in either sport and or physical activity. And what we can say is that, well, with the pandemic, it's a little bit difficult to judge. However, we did note with the Girls Run TT Challenge last year that definitely did spark that interest. And we had fairly good viewership of our virtual activities, because we'd have done a number of virtual activities via the Pink Rain campaign last year. We would have done panel discussions. We had conversations with women and girls in sport as well, where we would have interviewed girls and women who participate in sport at different levels, at different spheres, or in different spheres. And we would have posted their stories online and that kind of stuff for social media platforms. So definitely the traction was there, and we do hope that through our national governing bodies and other programs that the ministry is engaging in this year, that we do have, as we start to open up a lot more, increased participation from women and girls in sport, and increased participation in sport and physical activity across the board, because this pandemic has definitely been a bit of it has created a downside in terms of where people's health levels are and where people's physical activity levels are. So we're hoping that this helps to be one of those catalysts that gets that back up.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, admittedly, in the pandemic, we did see, when people were allowed to actually go outside, you saw more people perhaps walking, in groups, maybe taking a quick jog. But when it comes to maintaining it and consistency, that's really
that's always the issue. That's always the issue.
So tell us a bit about the Girls Run TT Challenge, because I know you mentioned girls and women. So what age group is this open to, and what exactly is it?
Right. So, well, age group, it's from 12 years of age onward.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, so there's no age limit after 12 years of age. And what it is a virtual race where we encourage, through the sponsorship of the participation in the challenge, we try to encourage women and girls participation in this challenge. It's all about giving an opportunity for women and girls to become active. And you can participate. It's not just a run, even though it says Girls Run TT, because it's a virtual race. However, you can participate jogging, walking. The whole idea is that you want to get those steps in. You want to get those distances to be able to complete in this particular edition, 83-mile challenge. Last year it was a 70-mile challenge. And last year's challenge would have featured the Magnificent Seven around the Savannah, and the medal would have been constructed to suit. It would have been pieced together and constructed to reflect the various buildings of the Magnificent Seven. This year, especially with Minister Kojo's influence, we are going to Tobago. So the medal and the features, yes, there we go. Yeah.
That's right.
Definitely aligned to many things, Tobago. And the distance that will be asked to be covered will be 83 miles. And you don't have to just stop at 83 miles.
You say we don't have to stop?
No, really, no. No, the thing is that we're going to start this thing in April.
Okay.
And it's going to go until August. August 31st. So you have some time.
Okay.
You're not expecting to do this in a week.
I was wondering.
No, of course not. So you're not expecting to do this in a week. So you have some time to be able to get your miles in. And I think that's one of the things that we need to really ensure gets out there, that it's not so, it's a challenge, but it's not so difficult that you can't, participate in it, even though you're not a very active person.
Yeah.
So if it is you get those miles in on a weekly basis, let's say you could go a few miles, maybe 3 to 4 times for the week, you should be able to complete that challenge at 83 miles quite easily.
Okay, I was wondering, because when he said 83 miles, I started calculating how many times is that around the Savannah. That's a lot of times around the
Savannah. is about 1 point something.
Yeah.
But over quite a significant length of time. We're talking definitely over 3 months.
There's no excuses.
So yeah, you could definitely do that.
You can't do it. Rockus is just laughing like, nope, not today.
No, trust me. The eldest participant, there she is. There she is. She is, I think she was 83 years of age.
Okay,
and she participated and completed the 70-mile challenge last year.
Yeah.
And I'm almost certain that there she is posing off, and so quite a sassy lady.
What do you mean?
I'm pretty sure she will be competing this year as well.
Fantastic. Yeah? So talking about, of course, about senior citizens taking part, I know this is also dedicated to Granny Luces, correct?
Right, yes. That's a very important part of the entire Girls Run TT Challenge, making sure that we give Granny Luces her props.
Oh, definitely.
She was an inspiration to so many people, not just women and girls, but just people in general who felt like, okay, I don't need to be exercising because I'm at a particular age.
Yeah. And
she broke the mold. She's one of those persons who really broke the mold in Trinidad and Tobago, I think, and really ensuring that people understand that there is no age to exercise.
No, none. I mean, it was one of the most inspirational things to watch her, whether you saw her on the newspaper or on the television or even saw her in person.
Yes.
I mean, just running, and it's like, wait, but I'm not going to say my age, but wait, I am this age and I can't even make it like halfway through. Not acceptable. So tell us, how can ladies and girls enter this?
Right, so tomorrow for International Women's Day, the ministry will post on its various social media platforms and the website the link for the registration of the Girls Run TT Challenge.
Okay.
Now, once you register, you'll be asked to, put a few words stating why you wish to be part of this challenge and so. And our officers will go through a selection process based on the information provided, and we will select 400 women and girls to be sponsored, for their participation to be sponsored at this challenge.
Okay, great. And if you are not looking at the option of being sponsored, what do you do?
If it is you wish to just do the challenge, you can go to Baffa Sports website.
Okay.
Okay, you can search Baffa Sports. The website will come up, and the challenge is there as well, but it will be under the national, I think it's the National Mile Challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, the National Mile 83, National Million Mile Challenge. That's it. right? Yeah, you can always participate through BAFA Sports, who, as our service provider, is an excellent, or has been very excellent in terms of its provision of the service to this challenge, but with other races as well. They do execute a number of other races, virtual races, through the year. So even if it is you're not on board for this one, do look out for other features that they may have as well too.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. McTair, before we wrap, just a quick question. So you mentioned 400 are being sponsored. So that means, of course, that, I mean, how many people do you expect to be in this challenge itself? Well,
we did attempt to sponsor, it started at 360 last year, persons, and I mean, within days, we got a flood of responses. Wow. I have to say this though, unfortunately, what would have transpired is that not all of the persons would have taken up the sponsorship, right, in terms of actually starting the race. So that is one of the things we hope will change this year, that we do expect the flood to pick it up. However, unfortunately, or should I say, however, we really want everybody, all 400, to start the race and hopefully to finish the race. And as I would have alluded to earlier, people went way past the 70 mile last year.
So that's why we have 83. Thanks, people.
Right. There we go. No, there are many people who finished 100, 100 and plus. The largest number was 400 plus miles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was a trooper. She just did stuff.
Wow. So, okay, yes, you're doing it virtually now, of course, because of COVID-19, but do you think this is something that once the restrictions ease and we come out of this pandemic, this is something that we're going to see happening physically? And how do we achieve 83 miles?
Well, all right. So let me deal with the first question first. So where going to in-person racing is concerned, that was actually the original idea. Okay. The original idea, when it is we would have conceptualized the Pink Rain campaign, was to sponsor women and girls to participate in road racing. Okay. All right. And there are a number of road races, especially coming down to the end of the year. You tend to find that there are a number of road races that are done. So that was the first plan. Pandemic came, we had to switch. The opportunity came to work with BAFA, and this was an excellent coming together of concepts, mindsets, and attitudes to make this happen. I am certain that once it is we are allowed to have virtual, to have normal in-person races again, that we'll likely, if not keep this and do the in-person races and sponsor in-person races, we'll definitely be gravitating to fully going towards in-person races.
That's fantastic. I have to say I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing this challenge take off, and I'm definitely going to take part in this challenge as well. I'm ready to conquer those 83 miles. Mr. McTair, do you have any words for Trinidad and Tobago before we wrap today?
Just like to tell Trinidad and Tobago that the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, we are trying our best to ensure that we have participation in physical activity and sport. Not just sport, okay? I just wanted to make sure that's very, very clear again. We don't just try to encourage sport participation. We try to encourage physical activity, because between physical activity and a healthy diet, that's the way towards being like Granny Lucis, who lived to quite a ripe age. And we want to live to a ripe age in a healthy fashion.
Definitely, we do. So, Trinidad and Tobago, we need to become some centenarians up in here. Let's make it happen in the generations to come.